My name is Joe. 20 years ago, my wife and I moved to Lake County with our 4 young children and settled down. In that time, we've worked, worshiped, played, and raised our family. Today, I've met the people and discovered the businesses and organizations that make up a vibrant, dynamic community. Join us as we share with you what makes South Lake great. I'm Joe, and Joe knows South Lake. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Monday, man. It was such a great weekend. I couldn't even stand myself. That's a little bit of a lie, but you know what? I am not going to let a weekend that was a little bit off bring me down for Monday. You know why? Because as usual, Monday is a chance to start all over again. It is the week of Valentine's Day. This is the day that Hallmark gets to make a bunch of money. But this is also the week that America celebrates love. You know how unique America is in the world? We have so many celebrations throughout our history, throughout our year, where we simply celebrate gratitude and love. Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, Valentine's, Mother's Day, Father's Day. It is something terribly unique to our culture. And because it is quite commercialized, because that's who we are, sometimes we miss that. But it really is kind of cool that's one of those cool, unique things about America. All right. I had a great conversation with today's guest about history in America, so I'm all charged up. Today on the show, we are going to talk about Valentine's Day. We're going to talk about just the taxes. On Cup of Joe, we're going to continue our discussion of love. And finally, we are joined by Juanita, excuse me. I mess up a name every single day. I'm going to stop saying that. I'm going to affirmate myself into not doing that. So Joe always gets the names right. Juanita Benedict, the founder, owner, and I should say Dr. Juanita Benedict, founder, owner, and head therapist for Athena Pelvic Therapy, is joining us today. It's kind of a very interesting, unique business. Really excited to have this. She's an absolutely awesome person, has a fascinating story of her own. So we're going to go to commercial break. When we get back, we're going to get started. So I'll see you in a minute.
Hello, I'm Mary Rhodes with the mortgage firm, your local mortgage lender. I've helped thousands of families achieve the dream of homeownership in Lake County, and I would love to help you. Please read our reviews and visit us at mortgagefirmpros.com.
They are dependable, honest.
Every time I come over here, I've always feel like they go the extra mile for me.
The quality of not only the product they're providing, but them believing behind it.
I just trust them, they're a great company, great dealership.
Joe Knows South Lake would like to thank the following sponsors. Welcome back. Always good to hear from our sponsors, Ford of Claremont. Really glad to have them on. It just, again, can't do it without them. We really appreciate them. And if you are not branding your business on South Lake TV and you have your customers are in South Lake, I don't know why you're not here. Is the simple best. And I want to have this conversation, and I'll just take a quick second because I'm always on a quick thing. So many times people misunderstand the purpose of advertising. Advertising should put you at the top of people's mind. It's branding. It's what's the point, so that when they think about your industry, you're the one they think about. Advertising doesn't talk somebody into coming through a door. Advertising talks somebody into thinking about you whenever the subject that you engage in comes up. So anyways, that said, and not terribly, but we could have a whole show about that. And I think I'll bring on some branding guy at some point this spring. Talking about, Valentine's Day is coming up. Do you have any big plans? How about you, Jay? You got any big plans?
Yes, sir. I have some plans. I'm going to go. It's dinner. It's dinner and a movie. We're kicking it old school for Valentine's Day. We're doing something simple and fun and just the two of us. So I'm really excited about it. It's going to be the first Friday that I've had off with no sports and in a while, so I'm taking advantage while I have some. There's a transition between basketball and then the baseball, softball season, so I have like a week or two where I'm going to try to enjoy all my personal life stuff, and then between now and summertime. So
it does. It gets tough, and the people in our life that we love as much, when we get occupied and we're hang on. Oh, sorry about that. So it's all fun and games till you go live. The people in our life are so often the ones that, even though they're supporting us, they're so often the ones that suffer by missing time with us because we are so driven in trying to establish what we're trying to do. I see this in my own life. My wife, Miss Pat, absolutely amazing. And she's the one that gives up the most time because I'm not just trying to help Jay start a station and try to establish a television show. I'm still trying to build a real estate business as well as keep the rest of my life running on track. I'm really excited about this Friday. This Friday, my niece, Kaylee, is coming into town, and we are going to have a niece-uncle date. And I'm really, really excited because Kaylee is such an awesome, cool person. And I was to her a positive male figure in her life. I'd like to think when she really, really needed one, I really treat her as one of my own, which for me growing up was a weird kind of thing to have that kind of relationship other than with my parents. So I'm really excited for this. We're going to do something cool in Orlando, and it might just be sit and talk at a restaurant for 3 or 4 hours. So I'm hoping because we're in Orlando, it's a little easier to get in than maybe out here in Claremont. So, but I really like your idea, Jay. The best dates are the simple ones, because then you create an experience where you really are getting to know each other. So we're going to talk about this a little bit during this week. But that's it for today. So stay tuned. Just the taxes. Okay, I finally broke down. I got rid of my cheap old iPhone 6 Plus, which I got like 5 years ago. The OtterBox was falling apart. That's how old it was. The OtterBox was starting to break up. So we go in, and Miss Pat and I were planning on this thing. And the sale is you only have to, you can get this on your phone plan. So we run into, I love AT&T. I mean, they're not an advertiser, but I'm just a fan. And we run into the store. I think foolishly, I was going to get a new phone in like 20 minutes and we're just going to pay the taxes. 2.5 hours later, we walked out with the phones we wanted. But it cost us like $350. And, what I didn't anticipate was the $45 screen protector because I'm a klutz, the OtterBox because I'm a klutz, all of the little things that we had to have to protect the phones. Insurance is a little more expensive. And there were these things that we had to lay down at the moment that I just didn't anticipate. I think that's a good deal. Jay, we should figure that out. It's advertising is only X a month, and you only have to put down this little tiny bit, but you have to do this fee and that fee and that fee and this fee. Sorry, it's not me, it's the fee. Blame the government. So, look, go enjoy your phones. I really like my phone. I needed it. I was desperate for it. Got a lot of bells and whistles. I'm going to have a fun time figuring out. I'm still praying for my wife because she opened her phone up today to go to work, and so one of her passwords just doesn't seem to be working. It works on everything else but not her new phone, and she says she knows the answer, but she has to wait to talk to the right people. So go get a phone. Just be careful. Be ready to spend a few $100s. Okay, Cup of Joe. We're going to talk about love today. I want to take a little different tack on this, because I think that we should be loving people. I'm a born-again Christian, and really when you're a born-again Christian, love should define your life. But love is not always easy. I had a conflict with somebody I've known for several years around a real estate deal, and they didn't get their way. It just didn't work out for them, and they are upset. And I get it. They're disappointed. I deal with this almost on a daily basis because people fall in love with a house, and for one reason or another, they get outbid or the house gets pulled off, and they think they absolutely love that house. And, you know, they see their life as less than because they don't have it. I understand. But sometimes I'm the guy they blame. And in all honesty, sometimes it's my fault. Sometimes I gave them bad advice. In this case, I didn't. In this case, I told them what to do, and they didn't want to do what I said. So I'm trying to solve this conflict because there's nothing I can do about the house. And, you know, I'm really trying to love on this guy, but sometimes people don't want to be loved on. And, you know, the best way sometimes for you to love someone. Now, I got to tell you, he sends me this message middle of the night on Saturday. I was up till 2 o'clock. I'm like, I'm going to give it to him. I'm sick of this. He's going to get a piece of my mind. And, you know, you guys have done that. The message that's like this long, you got to scroll 6 times with your thumb. I think I made a good choice. I woke up Miss Pat to listen, to talk. And that's the cool thing. Again, we talk love. You know, my wife, I don't often wake my wife up in the middle of the night. But when I do, it's important. So she listened to it. She's on my side. She's like, send it. As a matter of fact, say this, that, and the other thing. Well, you know, I waited till the next morning, and I ended up sending him a different message, much lighter, and just basically said, you know, I'd like to work this out. You know, I got back this big, long message. He's still mad. He doesn't want to work it out. Doesn't want to see my face. And so my reaction is, okay, I'm here. I love you. I wish I could have done better for you, but obviously you're upset. I'm here when you're ready. My point to this is sometimes people aren't going to love you back, even though you do the right thing, even though you had no intent to harm, even though you didn't really harm, and you're still loving them in your reaction, they're not going to love you back. The key is you got to know in your heart that you did what was right. If your heart is filled with love, it won't matter that they don't love you back. You'll love them where they are, and then you'll love yourself even more. So anyways, that's my cup of joe for today. We are going to go to commercial break. When we come back, Dr. Juanita Benedict is going to be with us, the owner of Athena Pelvic Therapy. I know this sounds a little, I don't know what the word is, a little out of our norm, but it is a cool business in South Lake County. And it is quite unique, and it's part of what makes us up. Dr. Juanita has such an amazing story and such an amazing concept that I really felt we needed to have her as a guest, and she graciously agreed. So when we get back from hearing from our sponsors, she'll be with us. Don't go away. We'll see you in a minute. Joe Knows South Lake would like to thank the following sponsors.
Are you tired of having drugs or alcohol ruin your life? Do you need to get off pain pills but still maintain pain relief? My office in Tavares has programs to help you. While not covered by insurance, program fees are affordable. My name is Alan Zupkin. I'm board certified and have helped thousands of patients achieve these goals. Please call me for further information.
Who wants to host their own tea party? I'm Erica, owner of Erica's Tea Room in downtown Claremont, and we are happy to announce our new edition of mobile tea parties. What is a mobile tea party, you may ask? Well, it's a tea party that we do all the work and bring everything to you at your location. Your house, your office, your location. You tell us where and we'll show up and we do the work. You enjoy your day while we set everything up and make sure your party is running smoothly. Keep us in mind for your next mobile tea party.
I've been coming to Florida Claremont for the last 10, 11 years that I've been in business. We've been purchasing all of our fleet vehicles here. We buy all F-150 and F-250s. It's great. Come in, quick paperwork. They always have the trucks fueled up, cleaned up. We get our purchase same day and we're back on the road and back to work the next day. So I would highly recommend that. Great customer service, friendly staff.
Joe Knows South Lake would like to thank the following sponsors. Welcome back. I'm so glad to have Dr. Juanita with us. Juanita, welcome to the show. Thank you. We love hearing from our sponsors, but we have a lot to cover today. So I just want to say to the sponsors, you know how much I love you. And if you don't know how much I love you, call me. We'll go out to coffee or lunch, and I will show you how much I love you. So that said, we are joined by Dr. Juanita Benedict. She is the founder and owner of Athena Pelvic Therapy. She is not only the founder, owner, and president of the company, she is also the treating physical therapist. She is a doctor of physical therapy. She is also a Toastmasters mentor, active member of our local Claremont Toastmasters Club. She is also a TEDx speaker. She is the owner and head coach of PT Social, in which she does social media consulting for health professionals. Just an all-around awesome person.
Well, thanks.
This is actually quite a bit for anybody. I mean, that just the things that we spoke out here were quite quite amazing. You've been a member of the community, I understand, for 16 years, right?
I have been, yes. I moved here when my daughter was just born. So
just born.
It helps
so,
me
you have a
stay.
a 16-year-old girl?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'll pray for you.
Please do.
I only say that, Jenny, I love you, but my daughter was a handful at that age. Let me put it that way. She was a handful at that age.
I think most are.
I think I remember once or twice her brothers walking into my room saying, "I'm going to stab her." Of course, it wasn't very fair to her though, because there were three of them, and I can remember the day she walked in and said, "I'm just going to start killing people. They don't start putting that seat down."
Yeah, it's not fair. Yeah. It's not always
a woman in a house full of men.
No.
Tell us a little bit about why Athena. I mean, you've been here for 16 years. You just started this new business. Why Athena?
Sure. Well, I've been treating pelvic therapy for actually around 8 years. And I wanted to offer some services that just weren't available to be offered in the way that I was doing pelvic therapy before. So I started Athena because I wanted to create more of a holistic approach to pelvic floor physical therapy, and it wasn't available in any other place. So I just decided to open my own practice.
But how did that happen? I mean, you've been here 8 years. Okay,
Sure.
So tell us a little bit about the progression, the genesis of. I mean, did you just suddenly sit there? You're working with one day and go, "Pop, inspiration, Athena. It's going to look like this," or did something happen that somebody couldn't get help? I mean, tell us what happened. Why?
Joe, here's what happened. So when I was in physical therapy school at UCF, I had an opportunity to work with someone who was, well, it was called women's health at the time, women's health physical therapy. It's changed since because we treat all genders now, but so now it's pelvic health. But I had an opportunity to shadow someone and to work with someone during my studies. And I remember I was sitting, I'll never, ever forget it. I was sitting in the exam room with my clinical instructor, that's what they're called, and she was interviewing this person. And this lady was 80 years old or so, and she came in and she sat down and she started crying. She said, I can't even go to the store to get milk for my husband and myself because I can't stop going to the bathroom. I have to go to the bathroom every 5 to 10 minutes. Like her whole life was being in the bathroom.
Going to the bathroom.
Yeah. And it had been that way for many, many years. And finally she was just at her wit's end and she couldn't do anything. She was completely debilitated because of this issue. And I got to watch what happened to this woman who couldn't do anything because she was embarrassed and afraid that she was going to have accidents. She went from not being able to go get milk to being able to regain her life. And it was just a miracle to me to watch this progression simply by providing the interventions or services that my instructor was able to do. And that sold me right there. I mean, I was always a women's health advocate because I had already had children by the time I became a physical therapist. So I appreciated some of what this lady was saying and just what happens structurally to our bodies. But I just it never really hit me
I'm
until
tearing
that
up
point.
a little bit
I know,
just on that idea. I mean, I can imagine that woman, probably started to have those problems in her late 50s, early 60s. So if she was anywhere near what you think she was, 2 decades of struggling with that,
right?
It must have seemed like a miracle to her. I can just imagine her at church
It was
talking how Jesus healed her,
Yeah, it was a miracle. Sort of. I mean, when you know what's happening with the body and how to provide the right interventions that you can give somebody back their life, it's just there's nothing better than that.
And I have to say, obviously, I'm not a young guy.
Right.
I'm not old, but I'm not young.
Not.
And I'm in a relationship with a woman that is, close to my age. And,
sure.
From the other men I talk to, this is one of those issues that you learn to live with, even as somebody in a relationship with somebody who struggles with some of those issues. And it's like you said, there's some acceptance to that problem, and there doesn't need to be. Let me ask you, why is pelvic health? Is it only the issue of having to go to the bathroom? Why is pelvic health so important?
Pelvic health is important for many, many reasons. Your pelvic floor, which is that's the set of muscles that I deal with, they support everything, especially for women because we just don't have the bony support there that men do. It supports all of our organs. Everything inside is supported by these few little muscles in the bottom. So when they're not working, we have lots of other issues that are happening with women and men too. So it's not just women. Men suffer incontinence and pelvic pain just like women do. However, it's more typical in women. Plus, women tend to be a little bit more talkative with things than men do.
Yeah.
And so women seem to have this idea that, this is normal because a lot of women I know.
Because all my friends have.
Right. We can't laugh too much, right? If we laugh too hard, then we have to go to the bathroom right away. Hopefully we'll make it. Or, we can't sneeze or cough or anything like that. And not just for incontinence, but also when it comes to pelvic pain, because that's something that women don't talk about as much as incontinence, because incontinence is kind of accepted. But again, men and women have pelvic pain, and that, if you can imagine just hurting or going out for a night with your friends, having a good time, but knowing that you're going to pay for it later on that night because you're not going to be able to get comfortable no matter what you do. I mean, it's just life altering. And there's nothing that affects your life more than
it's
that.
funny that and again, coming from the man's perspective, right? When you're in a relationship with a woman that age, and I know this from talking to other guys, that, the play that we used to do where I'd tickle her till she screamed just doesn't happen anymore because you don't want her crying because she's embarrassed about what's going to happen if you tickle her till she screams.
Sure.
That's just part of the... You and I were talking earlier about trying to help your significant other with what we call the just in cases, right?
Yes.
I mean, the encouragement to, use the restroom before you go on that long walk is not necessarily the best thing.
It is not the best thing, and a lot of people think that it is, because logically it makes sense. If you empty your bladder, then there's nothing there
then I don't
to
have
come
to go
out,
back, right?
Right? So it's completely logical. It makes sense why people think that. But that's not the way our body works. Our body is not always logical, as we know.
Yeah, you're not actually emptying your bladder, are you?
Right. I mean, chances are you're probably not going to empty it. Actually, if you're not going to the bathroom and you're not voiding or urinating for 14 seconds or more, then you really didn't need to go to the bathroom. So you can start counting to see how long you're going to the bathroom. And if you're not going for more than 14 seconds and it's just a little drip or something, then you have retrained your body in that every time there's just a little bit of something in your bladder, automatically your brain says you need to go to the bathroom.
So let me ask you
and you
this.
don't want that to happen.
We've talked about, you said primarily women, but men also have this association, take this vitamin if you're going to the bathroom a lot at night,
Right.
How much does this affect both genders? You know.
Well, women typically have what's called, mixed incontinence or stress incontinence quite frequently. So 1 in 3 women suffer from incontinence. So think about that.
For everybody that doesn't know what incontinence is, it means going pee. Uncontrollably, uncontrolled urination. Okay, right. I just want to make sure that they were.
So people will call it leakage or, having an accident. So there's all kinds of ways that we like to couch it to where it sounds a little bit more, unscientific or unmedical.
Yeah.
But
unembarrassing.
And unembarrassing. That's true. And then there's lots of products out there, but I don't want to get started on
I had an accident sounds a little less stupid than I pissed my pants.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, most people are not going to come out and say that.
No.
Right, because it is.
And you're back to, especially guys,
it's an embarrassing thing.
Let me see. We're about to go to. Give us some of the signs. We're about to go to commercial break, so. If there's a long list, let me know.
Okay. It's not. I mean, it's a long list, but I can make it shorter. Some things.
Most common signs.
Yeah, some things that you
know
that you need to go see a pelvic therapist for are if you do have incontinence, so leakage, or if you have accidents, if you're going to the bathroom more than 7 or 8 times a day. If you are having pain, and especially for women, if things just don't feel right down there, so if you feel like something's falling out, or it may be, so that's something that could be solved. And also if you have chronic back pain or low back pain or hip pain, because if you've gone to the doctor, you've gone to traditional physical therapy, you've gone to the chiropractor and nothing's working for your back pain, it could be a sign that you have a weak pelvic floor, because remember, that's the thing that holds everything together.
Well, let me ask you this one question before we go to break too, before people start beating themselves up.
Sure, and you shouldn't.
Is weight a contributing factor? Could losing weight help, or is that just like a cultural idea that's not true?
Well, I mean, generally losing weight helps with everything, and it would help somewhat with pelvic floor therapy, but let's get real. I mean, there are ways that we can work around what your body type is right now. You don't have to lose weight to fix things. Like, it helps, but you can fix things without having to go through that. You can fix things
and then make it easier to lose weight. Because exactly. I know, again, we're back to people of this generation. You can't exactly go out and exercise. You're not going to get on a spin cycle.
Right.
If you've got this problem.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay. All right, great. Well, we're going to... I'm loving this. Juanita's one of those folks that I didn't meet until... I haven't known her forever. And so she's one of those cool people. I met her at a breakfast. I scheduled her right away. I'm so glad, because I was looking at this last night going, physical therapy, how are we going to make this interesting? And you never know sometimes until a guest gets here how dry they might be. And I don't know enough about this. But this is absolutely fascinating. We're going to go to commercial break, hear from our sponsors. When we get back, we're going to continue with some of this. And some of what we're going to talk about is issues like privacy and some of the treatments that happen. So don't go away. You need to hear this, especially if you're of a certain age. Talk to you in a minute. Joe Knows South Lake would like to thank the following sponsors.
Check out these gourmet deals from Bergeron Claremont, like our daily deals. Milkshake specials. Kids eat free. That's right, kids 10 and under eat free every Monday with purchase of an adult combo. Choose from delicious protein combos like beef, chicken, lamb, fish, veggie, and even the Impossible Burger. Milkshakes are buy one, get one free Monday through Friday from 2 to 5 p.m. Stop to Bergeron Claremont today to take advantage of our daily deals, like the Monday Crispy Chicken Combo, the Tuesday Falafel Combo, the Wednesday Angus Beef Combo, and the Thursday Spanish Beef Combo. Gourmet deals from Bergeron Claremont, located just off Highway 27 and the Epic Theater Shopping Plaza. Bergeron, millions of possibilities, endless combinations.
Hello, my name is Michael Singh with Singh Insurance and Financial Services. Our goal is to build trust based on a clear understanding of how your insurance policy protects you, your family, and even your business. When was the last time you took a good hard look at your insurance coverage? Would you be open to the possibility of reviewing your policy with me? One review of your policy can save you valuable time and money. Call me today to set up a review of of what may be available to you.
50 West, now pre-leasing 28,900 square feet of commercial, professional office space in Claremont. Conveniently located on Highway 50, less than 2 miles from the Turnpike. A first of its kind in the Southeast, this pristine building creates the perfect blend of nature and modern design. If you seek a high-level image that matches your business, reserve your space today. 50 West, unique, quality, Class A. For more information on leasing, contact Ashley Punn at 407-403-4165. Karen Arlano at 407-948-0767. Or visit lease@50west.com.
Joe Knows South Lake would like to thank the following sponsors. Welcome back. This is Dr. Juanita Benedict, owner, founder, president, and head physical therapist, treating physical therapist of Athena Pelvic Therapy. Fascinating subject today. Thank you for joining us. We were just talking about some of the signs and some of the things that go on. I wanted to be clear that we started talking about, we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's talk about privacy.
Okay.
I'm sure it's very hard for you when you sit down with somebody. Do they typically come to you knowing they have a problem? Or do they get referred from somebody else? Or do they come in going, well, my wife told me to come or my husband told me to come?
Yeah.
What do you usually see?
Well, usually people already know that they have some sort of an issue when they approach me or come to me because, let's face it, people aren't generally just wanting pelvic physical therapy without having a problem to solve. At least I haven't run into that yet. So people do come to me. They already know what their problem is. Sometimes they've already exhausted all of the other options. They've already been to different specialists and urologists and doctors, and they've tried medication, and medication doesn't work.
Medication's messed them up other ways.
Medications interact with other things, and they've tried all these different things, and they just don't know where to go. So sometimes I'm the last resort. I really wish I was the first resort in a lot of ways.
Well, that's what we're working on here.
Yes, because what we can do is, we can forego all that cost and frustration if it's a very easy, I shouldn't say easy fix, but if it's a different type of
might be
fix,
a simple
that's a
fix
conservative.
That's easy.
Yeah, it's a conservative approach that may really just help in the beginning.
So
but yeah, people typically know what they're coming to me
When
for.
you're in that interview with people, do you have a list of questions you're going through?
I do.
Or do you find sometimes they're reluctant?
I try to be, I always honor the person that's in front of me. So there are, if someone is uncomfortable with some sort of a question, it's fine not to answer those kind of questions. But clearly, more information that I get will help me to help them. But if they don't want to, then I understand that, and until we build a relationship, that's fine.
So you're covered by the HIPAA laws.
Sure.
Right?
Yes.
Do you ever? And I mean, this is a sensitive subject.
Sure.
But do you find people come to you sometimes when there's intimacy problems as well? I mean, because we've focused an awful lot on incontinence, and you said earlier, I think you should say it, incontinence is not acceptable.
Right. It's not normal at any age.
Yeah.
But yes, especially for women who have pain during intimacy, like you can understand that can really damage a relationship. And I have certainly worked with women in that before, and it's a really good reason why you should seek out a pelvic physical therapist.
Do you know, actually, I'm glad you said it that way, because earlier we had talked about your approach for pelvic therapy, and we talked about the emotional or self-image component. Tell us a little bit about your approach to physical therapy and to pelvic therapy.
Sure. Well, when you're dealing with pelvic floor issues, it's really not just a pelvic floor issue. It's an entire person issue. You have to remember, like I said about that lady whose entire life was devastated because she had incontinence. Well, the same thing is true with pelvic pain, whether it's with intimacy or just walking down the street. So you have to look at the person as an entire person and not just a body part. And so my approach to pelvic physical therapy has always been and will always be trying to get the person back to the life that they want. And it doesn't just involve working on the pelvic floor muscles, but it involves that emotional component that is part of that. Because a lot of times our emotions affect how our body behaves and vice versa. So sometimes we got to interrupt some of those cycles, and I work on that as well.
So how do you work on? Do you recommend them to a counselor? How do you handle some of those? You said it, the holistic approach. How do you handle some of those other things, the emotional, the spiritual, the self-image?
Sure.
Do you handle those? Do you recommend that out?
Typically, I will recommend other people. I will refer to other people. It just depends on what that person needs. Sometimes they need things that I cannot give them or that's out of the scope of my practice. And if they do, then I certainly have no problem. I actually prefer to refer them to someone who can understand them and who can walk them through issues. An example would be abuse, like sexual abuse.
Yep.
There's only so much that I'm able to do with that, but perhaps
You
linking
can
them
treat
with
the
a
body,
psychological,
you can't treat the soul.
right?
Yeah.
Helping link them with a psychologist is going to be more effective for them.
And do you have relationships in place already? It's not, well, here's a referral, go find somebody. Do you have relationships with people? Because you've been doing this. It's not like, Athena is a fairly new thing, but this isn't new to you.
Right.
You've been doing this for some years.
Yes, I do have relationships. And if I don't have relationships with a specific type of person, that needs to be, because sometimes people come in and they don't know where to go, and sometimes they need different types of specialties than the ones that I have relationships with. So what I do is I do my research and I look into my network and I find the person that would best fit them.
Just to make people ultimately safe, because we've actually talked about some very intimate issues here. I would like you to work back around to how do you protect people's privacy through your practice? Because obviously it's not just you have staff and people coming through, and what are some of the things you have in place to protect their privacy?
Well, so HIPAA requires lots of safeguards on lots of things. So even though I am pretty active on social media, or I certainly will be, Athena is pretty new, so we're just getting started on that, ramping up. It's really important that people know that their information will not be out there for everybody to know. I'm not allowed to talk to you and to tell you people's names or even hint at who they are. Or I can't even tell you clues that you may be able to figure out who it is. So,
it's funny. You said that thing about social media, and I think we have your page up here. If you look over your right shoulder, that's your thing. I just want to encourage people. You're a social media pro as well. You work with, through your other business, you work with health professionals. You're not going to be putting pictures of people that are your patients up here. That's... No. Sometimes you have to say that, or people will assume it.
Sure, no, it's a good...
So you're not going to say, "Oh, happy patient,"
unless you really want to
sing
my praises.
Out there,
If you want to sing my praises and you want to do it on social media, right. I'm all about that. But that's up to you.
That's not generated by you.
That's up to you to do that. I'm not going to turn that down for sure. But it's really important to protect all of that. Especially depending on how sensitive the subject is. Like, some women won't care if you tell them you tell the world about their incontinence, but men may. You know.
You get back to that. I've known women in their 80s who would be proud of the fact that now they're fixed.
Exactly.
Almost like, I'm an 85-year-old and I don't do this anymore, and you still do.
Exactly.
let me ask, you talked about how the solution is not always easy, but it's simple. Can you give us an idea of some of the things you do? Is it a matter of working muscles? Is it a matter of massage? Is it a matter of exercises they have to do? Can you give us maybe just a couple of things that just give us an idea of what it is? Because right now people are they have in their mind, right? And I know people who've gone through this. Well, for me to fix this, I got a surgery. I don't want to do that. And, I don't want to cut things out of me.
Right.
Give us an idea. Some of the stuff that you do with people to help them with the issues.
Sure. So there are really 3 ways that we address any issue, whether it's pain or pelvic floor dysfunction or incontinence or any of those issues. And that is behavioral. So there are some behavioral issues that may need to be looked at and changed. For example,
things we can only say on TV.
For example, coffee may not be good for some people.
You didn't just do that.
I know. But
Juanita.
So there's some clearly with you there would be some behavioral changes.
I'm gonna have to have
take
Miss
place.
Doris pull that dart out of my back. I can't reach it.
Right. So some behavioral things, and we were talking about retraining your system. So that really has to do with
that actually fascinates me because I wouldn't think that something like that would it be is it because of so when you say behavioral, I might have to look at some things I eat or drink.
Yes, and habits that you have. So that's what we're looking at. We look at habits and we look at your nutrition and what's going on there, and we see if there's anything that needs to be changed. Sometimes there are quite a few things, sometimes there's nothing. It just depends, but it's always worth looking at to see if it's
okay. So we've got behavior. What's next?
The nervous system. So we were talking about changing your behaviors, and part of that is changing your subconscious behaviors, which happens through the nervous system. So if you have things like urgency, like you feel like you need to go to the bathroom every 10 or 15 minutes, then that is something that you can actually address through your nervous system. That's a problem that's going on in your nervous system that needs to be retrained. And so we work on that. But
so
also things like pain.
When you say nervous system, people tend to think neurologist, now I got another specialist.
Right.
You're talking more a change of my habits, and you can give me exercises and ideas of how to retrain my nervous system. Exactly. We're not talking about having something cut, injected, another pill.
No, it actually won't work. Those things won't work.
Yeah, because I've tried them all, right?
They won't work. So you have to consciously understand what's happening, whether it is pain or incontinence. Both of them, everything resides in the brain. And so you have to reshape your brain and retrain how things are working in there. And so we work in there. Yes, I do get into your head sometimes, and that's okay because it's for a good reason.
It's okay, and I can give an example from my own personal life. I've had some health issues for several years now, and it includes a great deal of pain, some of the symptoms that I have, and I have trained myself in 2.5 years. I've not taken a single pain pill. And doctors are always trying to encourage me to take them. And I'm like, thank you. If I could do with Tylenol, or a little bit of ibuprofen when it gets really, really bad. But and I will admit, I have days where I think, man, I'm just going to take what the doctor wants me to take. But if I can get there, it's like you said, you're retraining yourself. I can say, well, I'll deal with that tomorrow. Tomorrow's another day, and then I've gotten through it, so you can retrain yourself to deal with some things.
Right. And as we were talking about earlier, there's this emotional component involved with your pelvic floor system. And, if there's any kind of issue there, it can create a lot of anxiety. And then that anxiety makes things worse, right? So if we can reduce the anxiety, retrain things that are happening, then we're going to have, you're going to be much more successful. The third component.
That's the Trekkie in me coming out.
I'm a Star Wars fan, not so much Trek, but that's okay. The third component that we work with is definitely the muscles. The muscles can be super tight, or they can be not tight enough, or they could be pulling in one direction and not the other. So it's just going in there and fixing those using exercises and manual work if necessary. So there are lots of techniques, physical therapy techniques that can help with
So
that.
once you have the initial interview, you've worked out what the issue is. Okay, you've identified, you pared it down, identified it. Typically, how long is a session with you? I mean, I would imagine physical therapy, we tend to think of 4 times a week for an hour and a half, but
Right.
physical therapy and occupational therapy are not necessarily the same.
Well, they're not. Some occupational therapists are pelvic floor therapists as well. I don't know of any around this area that are occupational therapists. But a typical session with me, this is the great thing about having my own business, right? Because I don't leave until you get the skill. So usually about an hour to an hour and a half, depending on what your time frame is. And that's another great thing is I really work with you to figure out what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Some people can only tolerate once a week, and that's okay. We can do that. Some people only need me to come in and to consult with them and say, don't do this, don't do that. Let's try this, let's try that. So it might be once a month. Some people need a little bit more intensity, so we're looking at 3 times a week, maybe.
It sounds like typically, though, you're teaching me skills that I can apply. I'm not going to have to use you for the next 9 years.
Well, hopefully not.
You're typically teaching me to do something that I can do on my own once I have mastery.
Once you have mastery, yes. So you need me there physically for the mastery of the skill, and then after that, like you'll probably never be done with me, to be honest.
Right,
only
check
because
in with you every now and then, right.
I will want to check
Right.
in and make sure that things are good, that you're still able to do everything in your
Right.
life, because these things kind of creep up and you don't realize it until somebody
And you
checks
might need
back.
to adjust treatment at
And
some
you may
point,
need to, right?
Look, we have come to the what's next portion for you.
Already?
It goes by quick, doesn't it?
Sure does.
This is your camera. I'd
Okay.
like you to tell people to look in there and tell the audience if they think they have an issue, can they just call you up, have a couple of questions? How do they get in touch with you? And typically let them know and let them know about anything you got going on.
Sure. Okay. So if you suspect that you have any of the issues that we talked about today, or you just want to get checked out, or maybe you need advice about like exercises that help or hurt your pelvic floor, because that's really important too, you can visit my website at www.athenapt.com. There's some information there, lots of different ways you can contact me through that website. You can also feel free to call me, my number, or text. I'm really hip now, so you can text me too. Because sometimes it's difficult to pick up the phone.
Daughter.
I do have a teenage daughter. So it's difficult to pick up that phone. So you can call or text me at 352-449-6906. That's my phone number. But one of the best ways to really continue educating yourself about what's happening and just find out what I'm doing in the community and what's going on in Athena Pelvic Therapy is to like me on Facebook. Check out Athena Pelvic Therapy on Facebook, like the page, follow it, make sure that you want to be notified every time I go live, because I've got some really awesome Facebook live streams coming up, some collaboration with some local people, healthcare professionals that are really going to just bring this world out into the open, so we don't have to be ashamed or embarrassed, and there's help for you. And if it's not me, then someone else, but it would be great if it was me.
Juanita, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. You've been a great guest. Thank you for joining us.
Mm-hmm.
Look, if you know somebody that should be a guest on Joe Knows South Lake, let me know. Jay has the information up. I am constantly booking for the next week's down. So please, please, please reach out to me. Also, I'll say it again. If you are not branding your business on South Lake TV, you're missing the boat. We are the most affordable advertising you're not just going to find here, but anywhere. Certainly the Orlando market. So reach out to me if you want to talk about sponsoring one of the shows, sponsoring one of our larger programs like sports or news, or if you just want to do an ad campaign. We have everything for every budget. So please, please, please reach out to me. I call that my shameless plug.
I love it.
Finally, as Juanita is doing, you have greatness in you. She's using her greatness to bring out the greatness in others and change the world by touching lives one life at a time. I want to encourage you today. Use your greatness to touch a life, bring out the greatness in somebody else, and you will change the world one life at a time. This has been Joe with Joe Knows South Lake. I will see you tomorrow, and I love you. Bye-bye. My name is Joe. 20 years ago, my wife and I moved to Lake County with our 4 young children and settled down. In that time, we've worked, worshiped, played, and raised our family. Today, I've met the people and discovered the businesses and organizations that make up a vibrant, dynamic community. Join us as we share with you what makes South Lake great. I'm Joe, and Joe knows South Lake. Joe Knows South Lake would like to thank the following sponsors: